Musical Analysis, Part 2, Hidden Fifths, Simultaneous Vertical and Horizontal Thinking. Before we check the two assignments from the previous video, we want to highlight another principle of voice leading. On the left, we've removed the soprano and tenor, shown on the right, leaving the hidden octave between the bass and alto. Listen. The hidden octave is actually acceptable here because it involves the alto, an inner voice, and not two outer voices. Observe that a descending progression from a perfect fifth to diminished fifth is acceptable and prevents the alto from having to skip up to the leading tone on the 7 chord. Basically, the voice leading on the left is fine, and that on the right is, listen. While the downward movement from a perfect fifth to a diminished fifth is usually okay, the reverse, upwards from diminished fifth to perfect fifth, is not. This is because the musical ear hears the upward movement as a parallel perfect fifth, as illustrated by the small notes on the right. So how do we avoid the hidden fifth? By having the alto continue down another step, ultimately doubling the third of the tonic triad. This movement of the alto leaves the 1 chord with no fifth, but that's okay, and the voice leading is spot on. You've just witnessed simultaneous vertical and horizontal thinking at work. It's not just about the chords, but about individual voices, independent musical lines. Let's check your work on the previous assignments. First, check your chord functions, that is, the Roman numerals, shown here, and label the perfect authentic cadence, or PAC. Now we'll refresh our memory. Preliminaries. Marked in red are the common tones created by longer note values. They're in bars 1, 2, 3, 4, also in bars 6 and 7. Be sure to play them that way on your piano keyboard. More preliminaries. There are additional common tones created by ties or notes repeated across bar lines. Did you find those too? See the connections from bars 2 to 3, from bar 5 to 6, also from 7 to 8. Be sure to count, play, and sustain those tones for their full value. Highlight 1, bars 2 and 3. Here in context is that acceptable hidden octave between bass and alto from the 2 chord to 5 chord. The alto, an inner voice, moves by a whole tone to an octave with the bass, but this hidden octave sounds okay because the alto is not an outer voice. The highlighted bars sound like this. Highlight 2, bar 5. Alto descends by step, avoids doubling the leading tone on the 7 triad, and ultimately doubles the third of a 1 chord with the 5th omitted. Such voice leading in the alto is necessary to avoid a hidden perfect fifth with the bass on the 3rd beat of this measure. Highlight 3, contrary motion across the bar line. Contrary motion is necessary to avoid parallel octaves between neighboring chords, which share no tones in common. Listen to the contrary motion between bars 3 and 4. 4 and 5. And also between bars 6 and 7. Highlight 4, bar 8. Skips and leaps between members of the same chord are acceptable. The harmony does not change in this measure. This type of voice movement is called arpeggiation, a new vocabulary term for you, derived from the word harp, a musical instrument. Highlight 5, bars 8 and 9. The arpeggiation of the 5 chord prepares soprano to ascend from leading tone to tonic pitch, producing a perfect authentic cadence on the downbeat, which we label PAC. Now, with deeper understanding, let's re-listen to the entire example. This example is bar 2 of the second assignment. Notice the 2-5 progression from beats 2 to 3. The better choice is to have the soprano move down in contrary motion to the bass. If, instead, the soprano would move up a whole tone to F, a hidden octave with the bass would be created. Bar 4 and 5. Finally, on the cadence, soprano moves to the third of the tonic triad instead of the root. This is permitted. The soprano may take any tone of the tonic triad when the voice leading is acceptable. As a result, we label the cadence IAC, which means imperfect authentic cadence, on account of the soprano taking the third. All said and done, here's the next food for thought. Transposing practice. For practice, students are assigned to transpose this example from C to the following major keys: D, D-flat, E-flat, and B major. Be sure to include key signatures and label the key, chord function, Roman numerals, and cadence, whether PAC or IAC. Play each transposition in turn on your piano keyboard. Next, transposing practice 2. For practice, students should transpose this earlier example from C to the following major keys: B-flat, A, and A-flat major. Be sure to include key signatures and label the key, chord function, Roman numerals, and cadence, whether PAC or IAC. Transposing practice 3. Finally, for practice, students should also transpose this exercise from B-flat major to C. Be sure to include key signature and label the key, chord function, Roman numerals, and cadence, whether PAC or IAC. Then play it. That's it. Content-wise, we've almost reached the first semester midpoint of many college-level music theory courses in the USA. If you have been applying these basic principles and techniques to your own writing, tell us about it. Post a comment or a question or a suggestion for a future topic, and subscribe to the video and the channel. Thank you for watching.